On June 28, 2005, 4 Navy SEALs were inserted into the mountains of Afghanistan's Kunar province on a reconnaissance mission called Operation Red Wings. Their target, a Taliban commander named Ahmad Shah, responsible for killing dozens of Marines. The team, Marcus Luttrell, Michael Murphy, Danny Dietz, and Matt Axelson, hiked to a ridge overlooking Shah's compound and set up surveillance. Then disaster. 3 Afghan Goatherds stumbled upon their position. The SEALs were compromised. They faced an impossible choice: kill the unarmed civilians to protect the mission, or let them go and risk exposure. They voted 3-1. They released them. It was the right moral decision. It was also a death sentence. Within an hour, the Goatherds had alerted the Taliban. Over 100 fighters surrounded the 4 Americans on a mountainside with no cover, no support, and no way out. What followed was a 4-hour firefight of unimaginable brutality. 3 SEALs died. Marcus Luttrell, shot multiple times, blown up by RPGs, and left for dead, crawled off the mountain and survived 7 days behind enemy lines before being rescued. This is his story. The ambush began with a single shot, then hundreds. Taliban fighters poured down the mountain, firing AK-47s and RPGs from all sides. The SEALs fought back ferociously, but they were outnumbered 25-1. The terrain was vertical: cliffs, rocks, no cover. To escape incoming fire, they jumped off cliffs, falling 30, 40, 50 feet, slamming into rocks and trees, then getting up and fighting again. Marcus was hit multiple times. Bullets shredded his legs, his back, his hand. Shrapnel from RPGs tore into his body. His teammate Danny Dietz was shot over 20 times but kept fighting, covering the others until he collapsed. Matt Axelson took multiple rounds to the chest and kept firing. Their team leader, Lieutenant Michael Murphy, made a decision that would earn him the Medal of Honor. Knowing they needed help, he stepped into open fire to get satellite reception for his radio. He called for backup, was shot in the back, kept talking, was shot again, finished the transmission, then returned to the fight. He died minutes later. A rescue helicopter responded to Murphy's call. 16 SEALs and Army Night Stalkers crammed into a Chinook, racing to save their brothers. The Taliban shot it down with an RPG. Everyone aboard died. It was the largest single-day loss of life for naval special warfare since World War II. Marcus was now alone. Danny, Matt, and Mikey were dead. The rescue team was gone. He'd been shot at least 11 times, had a broken back, shrapnel wounds, and was barely conscious. He crawled into a crevice and hid, listening as Taliban fighters searched for him, shooting into caves and brush, hunting. He passed out from blood loss. When he woke, it was night. He began crawling down the mountain, inch by inch, using his rifle as a crutch. He had no food, no water, and was miles from friendly forces. Every movement was agony. His legs barely worked, his vision blurred. But he kept moving, driven by one thought: honor his brothers by surviving. For 7 days, Marcus evaded the Taliban. He drank from filthy streams, crawled through thorn bushes, hid in caves. Taliban fighters passed within feet of him. He held his breath, gripping his rifle, ready to fight to the death. On day 4, he stumbled into a Pashtun village. The villagers could have turned him over to the Taliban for a reward. Instead, they invoked Pashtunwali, an ancient code of honor that demands protection of guests. They hid Marcus, fed him, treated his wounds. When the Taliban came demanding the American, the villagers refused. A firefight erupted. The villagers defended Marcus with their lives. The village elder sent a messenger to the nearest US base, a dangerous trek through Taliban territory. The message reached American forces, and on July 4th, 2005, 7 days after the ambush, a rescue team arrived. Marcus was evacuated by helicopter, barely alive. He'd lost 40 pounds. His body was shattered, but he'd survived. The bodies of his teammates were recovered. Michael Murphy was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor. Danny Dietz and Matt Axelson received the Navy Cross. The 16 men who died in the helicopter were honored as heroes. Marcus spent months in the hospital, enduring surgeries and rehab. He was physically broken, emotionally destroyed, haunted by survivor's guilt. Why had he lived when 19 others died? He struggled with PTSD, nightmares, anger, but he made a promise. He would tell their story. In 2007, he wrote Lone Survivor, a best-selling book that became a blockbuster film. He dedicated his life to honoring the fallen, speaking across the country, ensuring their sacrifice was never forgotten. He returned to the Afghan village that saved him, thanking the elder who'd risked everything. That man and his family were later relocated to the US after receiving death threats from the Taliban. Operation Red Wings remains one of the most controversial and heroic missions in modern military history. Critics questioned the planning. Why were only 4 men sent? Why was there no quick reaction force nearby? Why were they inserted in broad daylight? Military analysts debated the decision to release the Gauthurds. Was it morally right but tactically suicidal? But none of that diminishes what those men did. Outnumbered, outgunned, wounded, and dying, they fought for hours with courage that defies comprehension. Michael Murphy stepped into enemy fire to save his team. Danny Deitz fought until his body gave out. Matt Axelson refused to quit even as he bled out. And Marcus Luttrell crawled off a mountain with a broken body and sheer willpower. The 16 men who flew into a death trap to rescue them knew the risks and went anyway. That's brotherhood. That's sacrifice. Marcus says he's not a hero. The heroes died on that mountain, but his survival, his refusal to quit, his 7-day escape through enemy territory is heroism of a different kind. It's the heroism of endurance, of honoring the dead by living, of carrying their memory forward. Lone Survivor isn't just a story about war. It's a story about what humans will do for each other when everything is on the line. And it's a reminder that freedom isn't free. It's paid for in blood, on mountains we'll never see, by men whose names we should never forget.